places here in our sanctuary to be part of this ceremony with us. I'm going to share the history of Trace Branch Church. It was written by Jacqueline Jackson for our 100th anniversary. But as you can imagine, 120 years of history would take all afternoon. So what I'm going to do is just share some highlights with you. But to understand the history of Trace Branch Church, we first need to have a brief background of the beginning of the Methodist Church. In 1763, Robert Strawbridge organized a group of people into the First Methodist Society in America. John Wesley authorized the establishment of the church, and in 1784 he organized the American Societies into the Methodist Episcopal Church in America. The first society in Kentucky was founded by Francis Clark in 1783 near Danville, Kentucky. Shortly after the founding of the first society in Kentucky, our own Knox County Methodist history began. Bishop Francis Asbury's journal tells of a trip he made to our area in 1790. He writes, "We fed on the banks of the Cumberland River and kept up to the head of Richland." Bishop Asbury made numerous trips through southeastern Kentucky over the Boone Trail and the Old State Road. Trace Branch dates its history from 1801, when Bishop Asbury is said to have established a church in the Trace Branch community. Now, there's no written record of the location for the first meetings. However, in the mid-1800s, services were held in an old log school building located at the beginning of Trace Branch Hollow, about half a mile south of here, by Reverend Cartwright. In 1895, Harriet and Lawson G. Morris donated 1 acre of land, $100, and a sum of free work to help construct this building that we're sitting in today, and I'm standing. The foundation of the church was made from rock quarried by Mr. Morris. The rock steps are still in use today and were hand-hewn by Patton Gillenwater. Lumber was cut from nearby woods, and carpenters in the neighborhood helped construct the frame building. The seats, door, window frames, altar, and furnishings inside the church were all handmade. The siding was hand-planed, and each piece was checked to make sure it had no defects. Located near the entrance of the church, and I'm sure you all noticed it as you came in, is a large rock which was used by ladies to mount and dismount from their horses. When the road in front of the church was built by the Patterson Construction Company, the rock was pulled to its present location by a team of mules. Dan McDonald was the first minister in this church. William Judd was the next minister and performed the first marriage ceremony on October 27, 1898, between John Cannon and Lucy Michael. The next minister was Samuel Kelly. Reverend Kelly officiated at many marriage ceremonies throughout Knox County, and Jacqueline was included in here that he officiated at Jake and Dora Oxendine's wedding. In 1886, Union College was purchased by the Kentucky Methodist Conference at the recommendation of Reverend Kelly, and members of Trace Branch helped support the college. Some members of the church at this early date were Lawson G. and Harriet Gentry Morris, George and Susan Jackson and family, their 8 children, James and Liddy Rose, Effie Morris Jackson, Finley Fisher and his family, Will and Margaret Fisher, Cordy Parrott, the Higgins family, the McDonald family, Laura Judd Markle, who was the granddaughter of Reverend William Judd, Flora Chadwell, Ed Markle, Herman Kelly, Finley Valentine, Nathaniel and Elizabeth Jones and family, Laura Baker Valentine, Frank Tuttle, John and Amelia Hammonds, Florence Kinder, Mamie Cole, Minnie Frank, Crit and Catherine Mitchell, the Messamore family, Isaac Jones, the Barley family, the Catherine family, the Cannon family, and the Newman family. Now, this information was taken from our church book. In 1897, Reverend Blair began a revival at Trace Branch. Large numbers of people attended the revival, were saved, and joined the church at this time, including Mrs. Delia Jackson McWilliams, Effie Morris Jackson, Steve Jones, and John Jones. Now, this is not a complete listing of people who were saved during this tremendous revival, but was provided by family information and remembrances of Mrs. McWilliams. At this time, there were 4 Methodist churches in the Knox County District: Trace Branch, McClellan, Old Paynes, and Fighting Creek. Located at Gerber, Old Paynes was a log building with a dirt floor and split log seats. When the L&N Railroad was built from Barville to Manchester in the early 1900s, the church lot was purchased and the building was torn down, leaving that community without a church. And most of the members from Old Paynes moved their membership here to Trace Branch. I'm going to share a partial list of the people who moved their memberships. Margaret Disney, who's the mother of Gil Disney, Mr. and Mrs. Joe Carty, George and Jenny Carty Jones, Charlie and Mabel Carty, Belle and Jim Payne, Wesley and Harriet Burnett, John Burnett, Jack and Maggie Hughes, Dora Providence Valentine, George Downey, Will Hammonds Hurst, Mariah Bolton Jackson, Tom and Patsy Bolton, and John McWilliams and his children, Cora, Herbert, Rufus, Eugene, Fred, Joe, Robert, and Gessie, and Nan and Elsie Hughes. As with other listings, this was taken from personal recollections and might not include all names. In the early years, the church was heated by 2 large pot-bellied stoves in the front of the church, which was kept blazing through cold weather due to the dedication of members such as Otis Parrott and his sons. The church building retained its original structure and furnishings with only surface maintenance until 1981, when a new shingle roof replaced the existing tin roof. The 18-foot ceilings were lowered to conserve heat. A new lighting system, carpet, and heaters were added during this renovation. As part of this renovation, new pews were bought and donated in memory of members and loved ones. In 1983, a new classroom and bathrooms were added in the rear of the church, and in 1986, a porch and a foundation of concrete blocks were completed. A new steeple was bought in 1991, and the original bell was reinstalled. In 1998, the Bill and Robin Parrott Fellowship Room was completed. The Fellowship Room provides much-needed space for additional seating and has a kitchen for events such as homecoming and youth activities. Central heating and air was added at that time. I'm sure we're happy that we have that today. The church has served the community as a meeting site for graduation for Trace Branch Elementary School, weddings, bridal and baby showers, Christmas plays, and Bible study. Through the dedication of many, the church building itself has served as a reminder to all that through God's leadership and love, everyone is welcome. In 1994, Trace Branch United Methodist Church was designated a Kentucky landmark, worthy of preservation by the Kentucky Heritage Council, and now got our mark dedication. In the 1950s, the daughter-in-law of Harriet Lawson Morris, Effie Morris, embroidered and quilted the quilt on display in the fellowship room to raise money for some much-needed repairs. Harriet and Lawson's great-granddaughters, Carlene Sue Jackson Henson, Faye Jackson Taylor, and Diane Moore Simpson, used Effie's idea to help raise funds for the Kentucky Historical Market. Church and community members' names were added to a quilt, and raffle tickets were sold at the Trace Branch Community Reunion. Barbara Morris Trent, another great-granddaughter of Harriet and Lawson Morris, won the quilt, and both quilts are on display in the fellowship room. We hope you have a chance to look at them. Jacob Jackson and David Cole developed the wording for the marker, and others worked to submit the application. Our sincere thanks to everyone for their generous support of the Kentucky Historical Marker Project. Without your help and support, the marker would not have been complete. Thank you.